So everyone has heard of Mario, right? But how do we know for sure that this guy is actually Mario? Today I'll be putting on my finest detective hat to answer that question by playing through every Mario game until we have some actual evidence. And by evidence, I am talking about seeing or hearing the word Mario directed at our main character here. So let's get right into it, starting with the original Super Mario Bros. On the NES. Now, all of you aspiring detectives at home may have immediately noticed a certain word in the top left corner of the screen, and while this number does increase whenever we collect coins, mushrooms, or exterminate an entire population of turtles, that's not quite enough evidence for me to definitively say that the word Mario up there is referring to this guy down here. But once we make our way through the entirety of World 1 and take out an undercover Goomba, we're greeted by a toad who confirms our identity. Similar story with the lost levels. We're not going to be counting any pre-existing Mario text on the screen. I need some more solid evidence. But luckily, after making our way through World 1, we've got another toad with his belly sticking out here to call us Mario. Alright, Super Mario Bros. 2 is an interesting one, since this game is basically a reskinned version of another game, Doki Doki Panic. I have a lot of reason to believe that this man very well may be an imposter. And as I'm sitting here playing through the entirety of the game without a single mention or reference to the word Mario, I'm starting to believe that this is actually Mr. Doki Doki after all. After taking a few warps and shortcuts, all that's left to do now is, of course, force feed a frog to death. Then once we carry his corpse out of the building, the game is... Oh, well, that could be referring to any of these people. Who's to say that the guy we've been playing as is actually Mario? Okay. Over to Super Mario Bros. 3 now. Let's see if we have to beat the entire game again for this one. Oh, all right. That's good enough for me. On to Super Mario Land, where we've got a similar situation as the original Super Mario Bros. With the word Mario just hanging out in the top left corner here. Now, we could just assume based on prior evidence and the fact that this land is named Mario, that this is referring to our main character here. But you know what they say about people who assume? They would probably be correct in this case. But just to make absolutely sure, let's make our way through all of World 1, explode Mufasa, then receive a warm thank you from this very beautiful princess. Same deal with Super Mario World. We're gonna ignore the Mario in the top left, but we've got some more text here that could work. Okay, who decided these giant spaces was the best way to format this? Regardless, there's no mention of Mario, but once we head into the first level here, we're greeted with an ominous command from an unknown entity. Now, that may be enough evidence for some of you detectives at home, but just to cover our bases, after completing a level, we're presented with the text, "Mario Course Clear." But even that could still be interpreted as the course being named Mario. So naturally, let's go ahead and blow up an entire castle, where then it's explicitly stated that Mario was the one to do it. Next, we've got Super Mario Land 2, and I know what you're thinking. This guy looks a lot like the Mario from Super Mario Land 1. And while that is certainly the case, for all we know, this could be his identical twin brother, Schmario. Unfortunately, this game doesn't have any princesses to help confirm our identity like the original, since it appears they've all been replaced by a brick wall and a door that says Maso Land 2. But yeah, let's go ahead and make our way through Tree Zone, Pumpkin Zone, Mario Zone. Wait, this guy looks familiar. Anyways, after completing all 6 zones and revealing that Wario has actually been bald this entire time, it's finally confirmed right before the credits that we are in fact Mario. All right, over to the N64 now with...
Hey, Mario!
Oh. Well, we don't have a visual to match to the voice.
Hello.
Okay, well, the game hasn't started yet, and that is one of our rules. So let's hop right in and...
Dear Mario.
Okay. Now, the 3D era of gaming made voice acting much more commonplace, so that should definitely help us in identifying Mario faster moving forward. For example, in Super Mario Sunshine, Peach addresses Mario directly right away in the opening cutscene.
Mario?
That doesn't help us answer the question of who this guy is though, so let's land this plane and... Oh, okay, I guess we're also named Mario, good to know. Over to Super Mario Galaxy, where right away we learn about comets and the Star Festival that takes place every 100 years. We also learn that Peach has transformed into the moon, but there hasn't been any mention of Mario. Oh, okay, but who knows, maybe she's referring to someone else. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is basically the same exact scenario. The only difference is that instead of being the moon, Peach is now, unfortunately, ascended to the afterlife. But either way, we've got another Toad here to confirm that she is, in fact, talking to us. And that brings us to the new Super Mario Bros. Games. Now, you might think since all of these games look so similar and have similar names, each of these main characters would obviously be the same person, right? But with one quick glance, you can tell right away that's just not the case. I mean, look at this guy, he's absolutely massive. In fact, if you finish a level as Mr. Big Boy over here, no text appears at all. But if you complete one as his smaller counterpart, then it says Mario Clear, which leads me to believe that the only explanation for this is that these are, of course, two separate people entirely. Thankfully, in the rest of the new Super Mario Bros. Games, we don't have to worry about making that distinction. In New Super Mario Bros. Wii, after World 1-3, a Toad frantically runs over to make sure we know our name. And in New Super Mario Bros. U and 2, Peach is kind enough to confirm our identity while in the process of being kidnapped. Good luck out there! Similar story with Super Mario 3D Land, except this time Peach went the extra mile and somehow figured out a way to communicate telepathically through a still photo. I don't know what happened in Super Mario 3D World though, because for whatever reason, even though Peach is literally right next to us here, she doesn't make any effort to let us know our name in this one. But that's okay, because right after starting the game, we can confirm it ourselves. Over to Super Mario Odyssey, where in the skies above Peach's castle, we've got an intense battle taking place. Our main character here is holding his own, but he's fighting at less than 100% power because he is obviously distracted trying to remember what his name is. If only there was someone on this ship who could just remind him what his name is, then he could regain his focus and... Oh. Just a little bit late there. Well, I'm sure things will work out just fine. Next, we've got Bowser's Fury, which begins in an even more dramatic fashion. It's dark, it's rainy, there's a giant goop monster blasting fireballs. You know, just your typical Sunday morning. But after we scare him away with a flashlight, we immediately rush to the aid of his significantly less goopy son, who repays us by telling us our name. Finally, we've got Super Mario Wonder, where after completing the first level of the game, we gain access to a character select screen, which tells us our main character's name. Alright, so at this point, I think we finally collected enough evidence now where moving forward, we can safely identify Mario solely based off of his looks. And for the final results, here's how long it takes to confirm Mario's identity in every Mario game from slowest to fastest. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like these kinds of videos, it would mean a lot if you subscribed. All right, I'll catch you in the next one.